Buckle up, everyone, because today we're diving deep into Cambodia's startup scene.
Yeah, should be interesting.
It's a hotbed of innovation and ambition, and frankly, a ton of potential. You've sent over a mountain of data on this, reports, the whole shebang. So let's unpack it all, see what we find.
I'm ready. The energy in this ecosystem, it's kind of contagious, even just reading about it.
Right. And speaking of energy, this Startup Cambodia National Program, it's everywhere. Sounds like the government's really pushing this whole startup thing.
Oh, absolutely. They launched it back in 2019. And it's basically their master plan for building a thriving startup scene from the ground up.
So this isn't just some trendy initiative, it's like official government policy.
100%. It's a cornerstone of their whole digital economy and society policy framework. They're serious about this.
Okay, so they've got the plan. But are they putting their money where their mouth is?
Oh, they are. We're talking roughly 22.6 billion reals in investments and grants, pumped into the ecosystem through this program alone. Hold on. 22.6 billion reals. That's not chump change. What does that even look like in terms of impact? That kind of investment has to be making a dent.
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, for an emerging market like Cambodia, that kind of financial backing, it's significant. It puts them on par with some of the other Southeast Asian nations that are, really making waves in the startup world.
So we're not just talking about a few passionate developers tinkering away on the next big thing. This is a government betting big on a tech-driven future. But big bets need big players, right? What's the scene actually look like on the ground? How many startups are we talking about here?
In 2023 alone, 177 active startups.
Okay.
Get this. That's a 53% jump from the year before.
53%. That's not growth. That's an explosion. All right. So this isn't just a few techies in a garage anymore. This is a movement. But what are they building? What are the hot sectors attracting all this entrepreneurial energy?
You've got your usual suspects, of course. Fintech, e-commerce, edtech. Those are hot globally. And Cambodia is no different. But the real standout, SaaS. It's huge there. 17.1% of the market share, followed by e-commerce at 13.95%. Together, almost a third of the entire startup scene.
Interesting. That focus on SaaS, it really speaks volumes about where Cambodia's tech scene is going. They're building the infrastructure for businesses, not just targeting consumers. But I'm always interested in the outliers, the unexpected, anything particularly surprising or unique jump out at you from these reports.
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's a surprising amount of activity in clean tech and agri-tech.
Yeah.
Which I think reflects a global trend, using technology to tackle environmental challenges.
Agricultural challenges.
Get this, there's even a startup using blockchain to verify government documents.
Blockchain for government documents. That's wild. Sounds like they're not afraid to experiment at all. Push some boundaries. Always good to see. But even with all this momentum and government support, startups need more than just funding to thrive, right? What about the support system around these entrepreneurs? I see some mentions of mentors, investors. What's the deal there?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That support network, it's crucial, especially in those early stages. And mentorship's a big part of that. Cambodia's got a network of about 65 active mentors with expertise across, you name it, tech, finance, marketing.
65 mentors might not sound like a lot on the surface, but in a startup scene like Cambodia's, that kind of direct access to experience must be invaluable. Who are these mentors? Are we talking about seasoned entrepreneurs themselves?
You got it. Almost a quarter of them are founders or CEOs themselves. So they're bringing real-world experience to the table. They've been there, done that.
They've been in the trenches, faced those same challenges. That kind of guidance, it's worth its weight in gold for a new startup.
Yeah.
But mentors can only offer so much, right, to really scale. Startups need, they need cold, hard cash. What's the investor landscape look like? Who are these people, and what are they looking for in Cambodian startups?
We're seeing a real mix. Domestic investors, international investors, which is a good sign. Shows confidence from both inside and out.
So what are they betting on specifically? Any sectors that are catching their eye?
High growth potential is always the big one, right?
Yeah.
But they also want strong teams, a unique vision in terms of sectors. Definitely a preference for B2B SaaS, logistics, Web 3.0 ventures.
Interesting. So those areas that are ripe for disruption globally, they're attracting attention in Cambodia too. Makes sense, tapping into those broader trends. But it can't all be smooth sailing. What are some of the challenges that these startups are facing, even with all this support, all this investment?
Yeah, you're right. Every startup ecosystem has its growing pains. One of the big ones here, market uncertainty. It's a concern for investors.
Market uncertainty, how so?
Well, Cambodia's market, it's still developing. So it can be tough for startups to validate their ideas, Find those early customers.
So that classic startup struggle, right? Finding that product market fit.
Exactly.
But it's even harder when the market itself is still trying to figure out what it wants. What else are investors saying? What other hurdles are these startups facing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A lack of, well, robust infrastructure and consistent regulatory support. Those are big ones.
I can see that. It's like they're trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation that's still drying.
Yeah, exactly. You need that solid base to really reach for the sky.
What else? What else is making investors hesitate?
Limited access to data. That came up a lot.
Data is king, right?
It's crucial. Startups need it to make informed decisions, understand their customers, track their progress. When that data is hard to come by, it's just another layer of difficulty.
So we've got this rapidly growing ecosystem, fueled by government support, attracting international investment, but also facing some serious growing pains. Sounds like Cambodian startups. They're at a crossroads. What's the overall feeling from investors? Are they optimistic about the future?
Cautious optimism, I'd say. They're definitely excited about the potential. I mean, the energy's contagious, but they're also realistic about the challenges. One thing that came up repeatedly was the need for more experienced team management within the startups themselves.
So a bit of a talent gap.
Exactly. Having a great idea is one thing, but building a company that can actually compete and scale, that requires seasoned leadership, and that kind of experience takes time to cultivate.
It does. You need those veterans, the ones who've been through the ringer, to guide the next generation.
Right. And another thing, there's a sense of urgency to become market leaders quickly, which, drive can be good, but it also puts pressure on these startups to prioritize rapid growth over sustainability, building for the long term.
It's that classic startup dilemma, isn't it? Growth at all costs versus building something that lasts.
Exactly.
Well, this has been fascinating.
It has.
We really went beyond the surface here, uncovered a startup scene that's it's bursting with energy, ambition, and, of course, challenges. I think it's a great reminder that innovation can sprout up anywhere, and Cambodia's tech scene is definitely one to watch.
Absolutely.
And for you, our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you, well, some serious food for thought. Now, here's a final thought to ponder. If you were an investor, what kind of startup would you place your bet on in Cambodia's booming tech scene, and what makes that sector so ripe for disruption? Until next time.